Welcome to another episode of Euphoric, the podcast. I think I'm going to have such a brilliant conversation today about mental fortitude and really pushing yourself to go after things you didn't even think were possible for you. And I'm sitting across here today with JD. JD, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing amazing. Thanks, Carolina, for having me.
Of course. Well, you are like an ultra endurance athlete. And I would love for you to explain a little bit of what that means, like what you've accomplished and how you've really pushed yourself. And, a lot of people think athleticism is just to do with what the body can do. But I think when you're working in your territory, it's actually so much more of the mind at that point as well to keep on that endurance. So tell us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, definitely. I did the Epic Deca, which is 10 Ironman in 10 days on all six Hawaiian islands. And I finished it by being one of three people in the world that did this.
Okay, before
And
you keep going, my
okay,
sister's done Ironman, so I know what that is. But for my audience that might not know how extensive already just one Ironman is, explain to us what one Ironman is.
oh yeah, that would be a fair start. So one Ironman it's a triathlon, so swimming, biking, and running, all under the umbrella of that sport. You have multiple distances. Some people might have seen it on the Olympic distance, and one of them is an Ironman distance. The Ironman distance consists of 2.4 miles of swimming, 112 miles of cycling, and then you finish it off with a full marathon, which totals 140.6 miles of swimming, biking, and running. Now, when you time it by 10, so I 10xed it, you end up with 1,406 miles of swimming, biking, and running. And then you also, for that particular event, we were hopping from island to island.
Okay, so like usually an Ironman would take an entire day for someone, right?
Right.
So it's like 10 days straight. How did you even prepare for something like that?
Yeah, it's almost as if I was prepared for it, built in this way because again of all of my conditioning, my I was led to believe that after my military, I had to sever everything from my military career. That now I am in the civilian, and then forget everything, and now move to the new chapter of my life. And that's what a lot of people are doing nowadays, where they're severing everything and putting it in compartments and compartmentalizing everything in their life. Where really, if you can encompass everything that you have learned in your life and put it into one particular event or that leads other parts of your life, then it makes it for a beautiful read or a lot of chapters, so to speak. So you're not just closing it and then never going back to it. That next chapter is now leading with it. So for me in the military, I learned that uh, discipline had to be earned. It was not something that the military gave me. It was that you needed some form of structure, you needed a system, and if you follow that structure, if you follow that system, then the byproduct was discipline. I understood that there was a mission, and so getting from point A to point B from I understood that there was a mission, and I was willing to put my life on the line, even if it meant that a lot of parts were not functioning into my plan. But I managed to finish. And then when I studied engineering at the University of Western, I learned about mathematics. And so, really understanding the science behind it, not just understanding the basic concept of what sugar does to your body, or that you should shut down sodium entirely from your diet because everybody has, or a lot of more people have problem with their blood pressure. So I learned about science, and then I applied my engineering degree also to the next chapter to perform and use it in a practical way. And then I went to become a certified naturopathic practitioner. And so I learned about the human anatomy and the human body in order to not only use it in a practical way, but also to be able to help clients in my practice. So now I did this, prepared the plan, and understood that I had a past and now I was able to implement that plan.
It kind of reminds me of like David Goggins' story of just like really using this like the things that you learn through your life and really pushing yourself, to see what you're really capable of. And I'm so curious, like when you get into endurance athletics, how did you even get into that? Is that something like was running something you were more interested in? Like did you, have like maybe a circle of friends, or did it just like come across to you as like, wow, this is a way to like really challenge myself. This feels really good and I really want to like push the limits and see what I'm capable of. Like how did you even decide to be, someone who's going to be doing like an Epic Deca?
Yeah. So I understood that discipline was earned, and my non-negotiable was always the workout. So for some people, it's not working out, so they try to implement certain discipline in terms of a workout routine. But for me, I was already working out. And my coping mechanism when I was transitioning from the military to the civilian, or when I was a child, I was 17 years old when I joined the military. So I was bullied as a child. And then I was also, my parents got divorced when I was 14. So again, it was a hectic environment. And I just understood that at a young age, sports, it was a coping mechanism that I would use in all aspect, whether it was about a reward or it was about a painful moment. And then I learned about energy regulation. And so I understood that it can help the brain, it helps the body. And now, as a result, then you build this mental fortitude.
Yeah. I read that you sold your house and went into debt to like fund that race. So it's like
Yep.
this wasn't just like some easy thing for you to do on the weekend or something. Like you put your whole life on the line to move forward with this. So like tell me a little bit about the vision and just like when you're all in on something, like how that momentum and how that motivates you and like what was that like?
Yeah, there are timing decision that you have to make in life, and some people are just not willing to go through those motions. For me, I understood that this particular race was only going to happen one time in history, and so that was my moment, that was my shot. And like Eminem says, I took it. And quoting Eminem, I was willing to do whatever it takes. I I did sell my house because I needed the money because I was already in debt. So I sold my house, paid my debts, and the hardest part was not the Epic Deca. The hardest part was really afterward when I had to come back home, and I couldn't even have my son at my house because I was living in a storage unit. So yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, amazing. Well, what changed for you after that? Like you talk a lot about mental fortitude, which obviously, is something that you're going to need so much of to challenge your body like that. But like, how have you applied that now into what's next for you? You wrote a book about it, you're, speaking about it, you're helping other people with it. So like, how did that mental fortitude, how is that something that like, so maybe someone who's listening to this podcast episode isn't going to be doing endurance athletics. How can they apply it in their goals and dreams?
Well, for me, I thought that depression would leave. I thought that all of my problems would leave after I did the Epic Deca. I started looking at my social media. I had like zero followers. I only had a small Facebook account with only like my family and a couple of friends, and that's it. And I thought that I would become like famous and have money, and that's what I thought. And I was blessed that it did not happen immediately. I was really blessed because it taught me how to be humble about the situation, that I climbed that mountain, but that mountain can be utilized to help others climb their own mountain, whatever it may be of their challenges. And so what it taught me is that depression does not leave. It's how you cope with it that makes a difference. It's how you react to those stimuli that really changes the your perspective and the one of others, and really it gets to be inspiring for other individuals. So I'm blessed that I did not get much followers at first. I had to work for it. I did not get much money afterward. It took me a while before I was able to now like, be quite comfortable. Then to me it was the challenge was worth way more than the Epic Deca itself.
Mm. That's really brilliant because it's like so many of us, like I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and it's like, we're so hungry to get to the finish line. And it's just like everything is about like, oh, I can't wait to get to this stage in my business. I can't wait till I have this many clients, this much money coming in, the book deals, all this kind of stuff. And it's like we miss that like the reason why we signed up for this journey, whatever journey it is, any kind of growth journey, is like you are meant to become a certain version of yourself through the challenge. And if you just teleported yourself to when you're finally successful or happy or have everything figured out, you're going to miss that beautiful part of it. That's actually the point of it. That's the point of why we go through these growth journeys. And I know something, you talk a lot about like sustainable performance over just like one shot kind of like big efforts and stuff like that. And so when you're a high achiever like you are, when you have these big goals and dreams, and you have, you're a father, you've got lots of going on at the same time too. What does that look like? Like, what does that mean to you, sustainable performance?
Well, in terms of sustainable performance, it's for me what it means is to be capable of going to the park with my son and be able to play with him the way that he wants me to play with him, even though I am able to perform in all of these other extracurricular activities, so to speak. So it's not just about the race, it's about the connections that you are creating, the community that you are building. And so that's what that sustainability means, because that's where you build that, what that word is, the longevity that everybody is looking for. And that's everybody, all of our body are going to decrease in terms of capacity at some point. But all of these people that we helped along the way will be sometimes the ones helping us when we needed the most. And so that's creating a lot of sustainability.
So it's like if I hear you right, it's like, go after the big goals and dreams, but don't lose yourself in like some single-minded focus where you kind of miss the plot and you miss like the beauty of presence with loved ones and creating like beautiful memories and stuff like that, and really finding a pace for yourself that works for all of that. And you talk about that in addition to like achieving these goals and dreams that like if it doesn't scare you, it's probably not big enough. And do you think that there's a big difference between, a lot of times people will form a goal because they think it's realistic, right? But the thing is whatever they decided is realistic isn't very exciting for them, and then they have the like if they're willing to have the delusional goal, like the goal that isn't realistic, like that is a lot more exciting. So like how do you do it? Like do you have these goals that just like are so big and so like they scare you, you have no idea how you're going to do it, and does that propel you to have like more momentum in your life when you're actually chasing it versus kind of settling for that realistic goal and then not even being that lit up about it? Like how does that make sense for you?
Well, they all have their own period. So different goals for different times. It would be like going through an entire engineering degree. When you go through an entire engineering degree, you don't just say, oh, I'm going to have one goal and it's just to get the engineering ring. What you're saying is, I want to finish this class. And so you're breaking it down in different smaller goals, even though that massive goal might be scary. And then you're using different tools to achieve the task. For example, motivation versus discipline. So it's not to decrease one versus the other, is that motivation is a good tool for a quick fix because it gives you that motivation and now you want to get to that next goal. And then you also have the discipline to follow through all the way until, like I use the analogy of the um, engineering degree, to get to the end of your engineering degree.
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. It's like you have that big delusional goal, but you're still able to like break it down so that it's like piece by piece and it's like that bigger vision that you have. So for someone who, makes working out like a non-negotiable, is like an endurance athlete, is also someone who wrote a book, what are some of the like daily habits that you do to just like maintain, a high achieving, body, mind, and soul?
Well, I'm Christian, so definitely reading the Bible is necessary for me, and that's because I need to follow my set of values. For someone that is not Christian that is listening to this, they need to at least form a set of values. For me, it just so happened that it's already written, somebody wrote it. But for others, and at least write it down to what is your hierarchy, what are your values, and then really um, meditate on them. So there is passive and active meditation. And passive meditation is when you are simply just relaxing and not thinking about much and just allowing your brain to be creative. And then the active one that many people forget is how you keep your body active. So sometimes in zone one, which I do a lot more than people would think. I trained with a lot of Olympians and a lot of elite athletes. I was even with Kenyan runners last year, and a lot of their workout is in zone one. It's just that their zone one is a lot faster than the majority of people, but they're able to have conversation at a much faster pace. I yield that. But a lot of people are putting on the back burner the fact that are they have to work out really, really, really fast or at high intensity instead of just going for a walk or going on a hike or doing something that is active, even rock climbing. It doesn't have to be running or even cycling, not at high intensity, or swimming. Swimming is my favorite one, definitely. But so that's what I do in my on my daily task is I involve some kind of meditation, definitely.
I love swimming too. It's like I don't even know if I'm really working out. It's just this meditative, like I might be like a slow swimmer, and I like to be in the ocean and stuff, and it's just such a beautiful connection with like nature and being in my body, and I love the salt water and stuff. So you wrote a lot about this in your book, and it's interesting because 82% of Americans want to write a book, but I think it's only like 1% actually does. So there's this huge disconnect between what people want to do versus what they're actually doing. And, for someone who used your mental fortitude to run 10 ultra marathons, right? 10 Ironmans, it's insane. How did you apply that in writing a book? Because a book also is one of those things that it's like, it takes discipline. You don't just write it in like 1 hour. Like you have to keep coming back to it. You know what I mean? Everything else is more urgent in your life than writing a book. Nobody's waiting for your book. You know what I mean? So how is that process? And any tips for aspiring writers in the audience?
For building up to the Epic Deca, I had the skills, I had the tools. For the writer, the connection or the correlation is they have the story. They just don't know they have the story. Everybody has some form of story or some form of genre that they want to write. Then you need to, well, in terms of that's what I use. I use the scientific method in terms of engineering, and that's just creating a plan, which is I want to write a book or I want to finish the Epic Deca. So I'm just using the correlation by jumping from one to the other so that everybody understands. And then I created a strategy. So I created essentially the outline, or you create, that's all you have to do. You just have to create an outline. And then you create the, I created the strategy. I understood what part had to be done. And then I created a prototype. And then the prototype can be chapter one. Just write chapter one, understand that chapter one might have to change over time, but then you write down chapter two afterward because you understand what the outline is saying. So you're just following it. And then you implement it. And then that's when the um, process of publishing it. I chose personal like publishing, so like private. So I did it by myself. It's free. You can do it on KDP. That's what I did. It's on Amazon. Everything is free, so you don't have to pay anybody or pay me or anything. It's just you go online, you put your file there, and then I had a photographer, so one friend, and he said, "I want to do your book cover." So he built the book cover for me, and then all you need is those two files when you publish it by yourself on KDP, right? It's not a KDP, it's free, right? So, but you need a book cover, and then you need the file, which is PDF on all of the chapters formatted properly. But then they walk you through the whole process. So then again, it's free and it's quite quickly. And I would say that a lot of people are stopping themselves short. Just don't assume that you're going to be making lots of money. For mine, it became a bestseller, but I knew a lot of people around the world, and I was able to give it to them. But if you don't have those types of connection, then don't assume that you're going to be making lots of money. Just don't do it for the money to build a book. Do it because you want to relay a message, and that message will change somebody's life. The example I can give someone, not just in terms of building it, but the reason why I'm saying this is because at first I was not making a lot of money on it. And I met this, I never met her really. She reached out on our social media. I'm not going to mention her, but she reached out on our social media and said that because she read the book, um, she changed her life completely. And now she's doing more endurance event, changed her mindset. And she is let's put it this way, it's a word that we can't say online on podcast, but let's just say she's alive now. So yeah, she did not unalive herself is the key word. So yeah,
Mm.
so it's a beautiful story because again, it was not, I did not do it for the money, I did it for the message. And that's because a lot of people were reaching out to me saying, why did you do the or how did you do the Epic Deca? And all I had was, well, it's natural for me, but I had the whole process in my head. I just had to put it on paper. And
Yeah.
then once the process became on paper, then people were, again, able to read about it and apply it to their life. Because just the same way that I used the Epic Deca to correlate it with someone who wants to write a book is the exact same way that someone can read that book and apply it to their own life. Those are general concepts that people should know and that certain institutions should have given to us, but it took me decades to understand and be able to apply. And now I'm just sharing it with the world.
Yeah. And that's why books are such treasure troves. It's like a whole, like decades of experience someone else had to go through, condensed into this beautiful, book that someone can read and have these incredible insights. And like you said too, like books often are, really brand awareness, really bringing people in your way, and it's not like a get rich quick scheme by any means, but at the same time, it's like it is so impactful. I mean, books have changed my life, for example, multiple times. And I've written my own book too, Euphoric, and to have someone reach out to you and say what they said to you, like, you never forget that. You never forget the impact that you have on someone's life because you were brave enough to share the story too. And I think what I love about your answer too is like you have such an engineering mind around it. I think so many people get stuck in the overwhelm of like, oh, this is such a big like goal of mine. It's such a big process. How am I going to write this? What is it going to be? Like they just get so heady about it. And it's like, I love how you're just like, okay, well, just write the outline and then just do this little part and then just do like, just get the book cover. It's like, it's not actually as big of a deal, I think, as we make it in our minds. And the thing is, when so many people desire to write a book, that desire doesn't go away. It is a mission inside of you, it is a calling inside of you. You're meant to share your message with the world in that certain way. You were meant to help that woman. I mean, there's probably so many other people that have been so helped by your book, and that is one of the most incredible examples I could even ever hear about. Like that was your destiny, and if you kept it inside of you, you know what I mean? And if you got in your head about how hard it was to write a book, or you already told yourself, books don't make money, so what's the point? It's like that person's life wouldn't have been changed. You know what I mean? So it's like the calling to write a book is one of the most honor, like it's an honor, and it's a mission that we have to take very seriously. And so I love to be able to just break it down. I'm writing my second book right now too, so it really did feel overwhelming for me at first as well, and I had to just be like, okay, we'll just work on this part tonight and then this part tomorrow. I'm going to work on it like later today too. Because like we really make mountains out of molehills, and like once we're really in the thick of it, it does come out, it does flow. You do have something to share in a story like that. So I love how we were able to bring it back to the book and everything like that. And where can people find your book? Because it's on Amazon, and what is it called?
Hunger for More in Life.
Hunger for More in Life. Amazing. Well, we'll have that in the show notes below. If someone wants to, reach out to you, if anyone's interested in like learning more about you or maybe their own endurance races and stuff like that, where can they find you?
HungryWarriorAcademy.com.
Amazing. Well, JD, thank you so much for being on the show today. It was so cool talking to someone who's done something that freaking epic in their life. And I think it just inspires us to know, if one person's capable of something that insane, like we doubt ourselves on how much we're really capable of ourselves too. If you could do it, so many other people can write the book or quit the job or launch the business or go run the half marathon or the full marathon or whatever that looks like for them. So thank you so much for inspiring us today.